Thanks, sweetie. Oh, it's so fun to see all your faces. Oh, I was texting you guys saying, I'm missing you, and I just want to see how you're doing. So this makes me so happy. And Shauna, I'm so jealous. I am pure winter Scottish white. So have to try to like get some color. You look amazing.
I know. I went to Pebble Beach first in California and it snowed on me. It was ice. It was like sleet hit us in the face. So it was terrible.
Oh,
And then I went to Mexico, so that made up for it.
it's all better now. It's
Yeah,
good.
so much better
I find
now.
that happens too. If I go to Mexico, everything's better. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It is the weirdest weather. I can't even tell you. I'm up in Woodland Hills and we have mountains of snow, like 6 feet. I come out my driveway and it's a wall of snow. I can't see in either direction. I have to pull out super slow so I can see if there's any. But we just go through this tunnel of snow. It's crazy. We had a neighbor up the street just for one of those kvetching, kind of, oh my God. One of our neighbors, their garage crashed. It collapsed. Another neighbor, their shed collapsed. It's that much snow. Like when we're saying in Woodland Hills, we got snow, we got snow. All right, let's go to more exciting, wonderful things, which is your bio. So let me just get the lay of the land. Raise your hand if you feel like you have a bio that you absolutely love and adore. Raise your hand if you have one. Okay, that tells me where we're starting. All right, let's go to the other end of the spectrum. How many of you feel like you have some nuts and bolts, but you haven't really done a lot with it, but you have some nuts and bolts of a bio? Some pieces? Okay, we are kind of starting from the scratchy then, okay, what do we need in a bio? So anyone know or have an idea of what the purpose of a bio is?
I would think it helps give you some credibility to what you're sharing.
Excuse me, credibility. Excuse me, anything else?
Helps people relate to you.
I went to speak and I swallowed my spit. Oh my gosh, I'm a speaker. Okay, credibility, relatability. Anything else?
I want to say trust, and I know you said relatable, but trust and get to know you, who you are.
Trust, absolutely, and give them a snapshot of who you are, right? Because it's just a really quick thing. Where are you going to use this bio most likely? What ways would you use a bio?
If you're at like a speaking thing and they want to give you a bio on who is like each of the speakers are, at the back of your book, if you write a book.
I have a about Kim on my website. So is that a bio or? Because there's like one sheet that you'd send, but that's different, right?
There's a variety of lengths of a bio, but for all intents and purposes, you can have like a vitae and you can have all of these different things, but we're going to call it a bio just so we're on the same page.
Okay.
But the whole point of a bio is it's your calling card. It's your business card. It's the way that you introduce yourself to a group of people, usually people who don't know anything about you. So either it's a speaking engagement or you're on your website, or it's not, like you said, the back of your book. So think about the ways you're going to use this bio, because that will help you determine the feel and tone you want of this bio. And that's why it's good to have a couple of different versions. So just so you know, you have a short bio, because a lot of times in a printed program, you don't have a lot of room. So you got your short bio, and you want to start that short bio with the absolute core that will share your credibility, relatability, trust, and give them that snapshot of who you are, what you do, and who it's for. That basically your one big message, your Foundation 5 kind of in that one sentence, that first few sentences. So the short bio is really important for you to just use that as your core. Then you can build onto a medium or long bio. And that's as medium as long as you want. A good medium bio is maybe 2 to 3 short paragraphs. You do not want to overwhelm them. The idea with the bio is you are teasing them with your awesomeness, that they are going to be salivating to hear what you have to say or what you're offering as soon as they're done reading that bio. And the long bio is you're just trying to impress the heck out of them, and they're not going to mostly read it. It's really, no one's going to really actually check it out, but they're going to see all of these amazing things that you do, and they'll be like, wow, I don't even have to read all through this because I can see already she's amazing. So your short and medium bios are going to be the most used. And I like to use a little combination that's just maybe a little bit elongated short bio. So it's about a good paragraph long. And that's usually what people would read. So when I get people who are going to come on my podcast and we want to interview them, the research that they'll do for me is they'll do a whole page of bio stuff, but then we always utilize this short bio. And then I go through the long one and I cull out the things that I think that people are going to want to know or will establish that credibility. So I love that people said credibility and relatability. Those are so vital. So remember, when you're sitting and listening to a speaker, can anyone remember something you've heard in a bio? Anyone remember anything that stands out to you? Okay, probably
in
not.
general. Yeah.
Like if you're like, oh my gosh, they were reading this bio and this guy had the best blah, 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 probably not, right? So you want to try to find something that is memorable. So start with the credible, and we're going to do a little list. We're going to do a little work. We're going to work through all of these things. So first thing, what are the most credible pieces that you offer? That means certifications, degrees, letters after your name, significant experiences or awards, things that are like, I'm an award-winning, best-selling author, blah, blah, blah. You want to start with that. This is not a time to be shy. You are going to barf this all out and get it down on paper, breathe into a bag, feel good about sharing these amazing things about yourself, and then you're going to go back and cull it out. So don't stress it. You're just brainstorming on your paper right now. So I'm going to give you 1 minute. Write down the most credible pieces that you have. Degrees, awards, distinguishments, anything that is something, certifications, anything that you have. There's a gal in the DTLC that I did not know for months that she was a certified coach, international ICF. I was like, why are you not leading with that? This was an important piece of information.
So Connie, I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
I don't have a coaching certification.
That's fine.
So what do I mean, I have lots of experience, but I don't have anything, I don't have any letters after my name. I am a postpartum and birth doula, but I'm not certified in it.
Just put that.
And I'm a facilitator at a nonprofit. So
that's totally fine. If you've served in that capacity, then put it down. But you don't ever lie on, and I know you wouldn't, but that's that. I don't even want to say his name because the poor guy that he was in the church and he was a speaker and he had put some information and kind of aggrandized it a little bit, and they nailed him. They had an interview when he was 90 something, I think it was. And they said, did you lie? And he could hardly speak. And he was like, yes. A whole lifetime of speaking and serving in the church ruined from one piece of information that he had just kind of embellished. But if you have served in that capacity and you've done it, then say it. But don't say anything more than that. So if you're not certified, don't say that, but obviously say, I am because that's what you do. So absolutely do that. I love that. Thank you. Page 67 on the guidebook. It also shows about the bios.
Hey,
So,
I have a bunch of certifications that aren't relative to my audience avatar right now. Don't put those, right?
No, but write them down right now. Like just put
Oh, okay.
all of those certifications that I don't think are relative, because it may come about that one of the audience you go speak to, that actually would be a helpful thing. So just put everything down on the paper. Do not stress about not having letters after your name. Oprah has no letters after her name. And you see all that happened to her. You don't need letters, but you need expertise. So you've got to figure out a way to be able to show the credibility. If you don't have letters, awards, and distinguishments, then it's going to be significant experiences. I ran the Boston Marathon. I survived a car fire, right? Whatever it might be, it's going to be a distinguishing event or significant story or experience that you're going to emphasize. So if we go to credibility, also think media. Have you been interviewed on podcasts? Have you done a podcast? Have you been on a TV show? Have you been on a radio show? Have you been a guest at something? Write those things down. So I'm going to give you a minute to keep writing down, keep thinking of ideas. Were you invited to speak somewhere? Girls camp. Doesn't matter. It's a young women's organization. And like Kim brought up, barf it out now And then try to niche it down to the thing that you are doing and offering. So Tanya could think back, well, was I ever invited to speak about organizing for Relief Society, right? Or was I ever invited to speak about or be on or create something for organizing or 5-minute habits or anything like that? Because you do want it to niche down and be pertinent to what you're doing. But the most important thing is that you show credibility. So even if my Studio 5, I'm not talking about speaking or writing. If I was talking about years ago, I was talking about balancing and balance redefined and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. It just shows initially what it shows is that I have some kind of significant experience, especially if I don't have any letters after my name. Now I have a degree, but it doesn't have anything to do with what I'm doing, but I do still put that on my bio.
So a question then, like I'm serving on the ANWA Writers Conference Committee. That's something you would put down, right?
You're an author and you're showing that I actually serve on this committee and serves as a blank on the ANWA writing or whatever committee. Absolutely. That establishes you're not just some pie in the sky, like one-time author thing. You actually serve in a leadership position. That's why on my bio, I put NSA. Now I can put I'm vice president actually in June, so I'm not on now, but vice president of NSA chapter. So again, for speaking, right? National Speaking Association, vice president of that chapter, that just shows credibility of, oh, she maybe know what she's talking about. This is why, I don't know if Lemira's brought it up to you yet. We've talked about it in DTLC just a bit, and we talked about it at the retreat just slightly, but jump into an organization right at the start that has to do with what you're doing. Organizational Women of America, whatever. You jump into an organization so that you can say, and is a member of this organization, because again, people don't remember what you're talking about, but they remember something that stands out like, oh, she's on some organizational committee. Angela Myers does Uplift Families. So she does parenting. It's so smart for her to serve as a volunteer on that committee. Never mind, she's making networking connections, but she can put that on her bio. So start with that credibility, okay? And you can do more of this work later, but just start brainstorming that. And then I'm going to give you some other questions that I'm going to ask you, and then just start writing down. The next thing is, what signature experience have you had? So for example, on my bio, I put, I am a national speaker, best-selling author, media contributor, podcast host, and mother of 7. I put that one at the end so that it makes everything else essentially look more cool because I did it as a mom of 7. And then people kind of go, what? A little bit. And then as I'm speaking and I can't remember what I'm saying, they're like, it all makes sense. So what signature experience? I say 7 kids is signature for me, and it makes sense to share that. Studio 5 is signature. Host of LDS PMA podcast, that's signature. So what are some of those signature things? Now, don't be depressed if you're like, I have nothing signature. All this is doing is helping you go, oh, you know what? I could reach out to such and such and I could do it so I can get that on my bio. They don't care how many times you've done it. They just want to get a snapshot of, do you know what you're talking about? That's what you're trying to share with them is, you can trust me, like Lemira said, I know what I'm talking about. So this might boot you in the bum to get on one of our podcasts and be on a Facebook Live and a spotlight. As soon as you've got your opt-in and you've got your foundations and tier 1 done, then you can be on one of our Facebook spotlights. And that way you can say, and guested on Purpose-Filled Life podcast, blah, blah, blah. Now that may not seem super significant, but if you're putting it in your bio, that says I can actually go on media and people listen to me. That's significant. So I think sometimes we look at these big pie in the sky things. I've got to be on this big stage or whatever. No, you just need to show that you are viable. That's all you need to show. Okay, next one. What has gotten results? I has hosted the 5-day challenge that helped hundreds, blah, 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 blah. Again, one of those DTLC women, I was talking to her and she's like, well, you know, and I help moms and teens and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, how many years have you been doing this? She said, well, yeah, thousands. I was like, put that in. How many people can say I've helped thousands, moms and teens? I'm like, oh, for the love, emphasize that. That's credibility. That's signature experience. So think about how many people have you helped? What is signature? I help people do 5-minute habits and get results. Angela Myers, I can help you teach your children how to speak respectfully in 24 hours, in 1 day. With her signature, I'd be happy to challenge. You want to have these water cooler things that people can remember what you said. And then what makes it memorable? What's an outcome that you can share, or outcomes that you can share that make it memorable? So me putting on mother of 7, that's memorable. At the end, you want to put on a little bit of personality. Well, you want to do it throughout if you can, but at the end, a little personal thing about you. So at the end, I always say, she, what is it that I marinate time with my family. Yeah, and decadent treats. See, she can remember. I marinate in time spent with my family and eating decadent treats. And there's always a laugh about that. And I also I used to, when I wasn't emphasizing so much the speaking, writing, and media, but when I was emphasizing my books, and still, if I'm going to an audience that emphasizes that, then she is the author of Faithful, Fit, and Fabulous and the Life is Too Short for One Hair Color series. And I always get a laugh out of that because people are like, oh, life's too short for one hair color, or life is too short for linoleum. I'll put something on it like that. And I get a little laugh on that. Anytime you can add humor, add it. That's a really important piece. So I'm going to share screens in just a second, and I'll show you how that's in one of my bios. Again, there's different styles of bios. So if you're speaking in front of a very highfalutin, high profile business conference, what style do you think you're going to do your bio? Are you going to do it funny? Are you going to do it more personality? Are you going to do it more professional? Professional, right? You can throw in a little funny in there, but professional. They don't want you going off on some little, and I bake and I love being with my puppies. And, you got to speak that bio to your audience because you got to establish that credibility, relatability, and trust with the audience. Then another question is, what makes you irresistible? What makes you stand out? What makes people go, wow, I can't wait to hear from her. I cut off my arm that was stuck under a boulder, right? Okay, they want to hear that story. Or you were able to drive, just like that conference talk, you drove supplies to orphans in, Herzegovina or whatever, by yourself in a big army truck, whatever. You think about that. So what would be irresistible? What's your fingerprint on this? What makes it unique or makes you have something that stands out that people would be like, oh, I remember her, and that would connect with your audience? That relatability is all about connection. Sometimes people put in their bio that little personal piece. She can't live a day without Dr. Pepper, right? How many women do you think you're going to relate to, or their Diet Coke in the audience? I don't know. I don't drink pop like that, but think about it. Like probably 2/3 of that audience is like having tremors because they haven't had their Diet Coke yet. So they'd be like, she's my gal, right? So think about that.
Ani, can I say something?
Yes.
With that, coming back, because as you're talking about that, the other bio that really always stands out to me is Wendy Christensen's, because hers always talks about renewing hope, and it has her one big message in there and her signature solution. And every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, it has those 3 significant things. It's like renew, restore. And I'm always like, wow, I know what she does. And it sounds credible, even if she's like, this is what I do. So.
Oh, exactly. And that's what we're getting to. You got all of this juicy stuff, and then your one big message. That one big message should be signature. It should be the kind of thing that when people hear it, they're like, oh, I want that. When I say to people, yes, and she trains women to find their purpose and fulfill it as an influential speaker, writer, and media presence for him, then people know exactly what you do, and your calling card is spot on. It's precise. You know what you're doing for them, and they know what to expect from you. So your one big message, if you want to lead that out in the first line, sweet. If you want to do it a couple of sentences down after the credibility, sweet. Whatever you think is going to be best for your audience, but include the one big message, and it should have outcomes. We are not selling the steps of your program or whatever you're doing. You're selling the outcomes. You have helped people to X, Y, and Z. Like the gal in DTLC, she has helped thousands of moms and teens deal with, who it is, deal with anxiety, depression, and become emotionally resilient, grounded in scripture. There you go. They're like, I'm in, start talking. So those are things that you can go back to and make sure that you've got. So your one big message, and then have that credibility piece, the relatability, and the trust. And if you can add in humor, that's fabulous. Try it out on a few people first. Now let's get to kind of the nitty gritty really fast. So think about how to say it, and you'll probably say it in a really professional way first. And then you can think of saying it in a more personality way, a more descriptive way. So think about this. If I was going to describe a movie and I said, none teaches kids to sing, what would you say it is?
The
Sister
heroes
Act.
are alive.
The Sound of Music.
Sound of Music.
So do not say nuns teach kids to
Sorry,
sing,
didn't
right?
get it out fast enough.
You're right. And poor Michelle was like, I'm not on mute, but I'm saying it. I got it. I got the washer. I got it. So think an orphan boy learns he has purpose and involves friends in a new skill set to fulfill it.
Wait, I missed it.
An orphan boy learns he has a purpose and involves friends in a new skill set to fulfill it. I don't know, but if I say a mysterious elf tells Harry to expect trouble during his second year at Hogwarts, but nothing can prepare him for trees that fight back, flying cars, spiders that talk, and deadly warnings written in blood on the walls of the school.
Harry Potter.
Are you in? You see what I'm saying? Did you even remember what I said? And the first one, something about purpose and something about a skill set. No idea. Make it enjoyable. Okay, so I kind of tidied up this gal that I did a podcast with. Let me just get my example, and then I can share screen. So I just tidied it up really fast this morning because I had to tidy it up when I actually did her podcast. She sent me this super repetitive podcast, a bio. And I was like, tell me what is not helpful about this. And what Susie can endure this. She's great. She knows how to clean it up. So she's a healthy cooking coach who's passionate about teaching others how to cook, ! She spends a lot of time in her kitchen creating recipes. Anybody excited about spending a lot of time in your kitchen? No.
No.
She has featured on the TV show Studio 5 monthly. What the heck is that? Where she shares healthy recipes in a private coaching program to cook virtually from her kitchen. She helps people transition from eating processed food. I don't want to transition from that. So can you see what's going on here? It's not helpful. None of what she's saying is inviting me to come in and join her. Now, I'm not saying this is the I Ching. I'm just saying here's some ideas of how she could do it differently. Susie is a healthy cooking coach who teaches busy moms how to simply, enjoyably, and sustainably cook and eat healthy. For 9 years, she has enjoyed being a food contributor on Studio 5 with Brooke Walker. Emphasize that credibility. Susie now teaches other signature recipes because they're thinking, well, then why do I need to do a program if she's going to just teach it for free? Signature recipes through a successful live and online cooking program. Oh, you're going to help me do it in my own kitchen. Learn to cook healthy. Susie teaches women live and online how to simplify recipes and use whole foods and convenient ingredients. Oh, no weird, wacky gourmet stuff to improve health, weight loss, and enjoy eating. Outcomes. Working with clients for the past 10 years, she has seen the success of her long-term lifestyle changes while enjoying the process. For a taste of Susie's tips and recipes or to find out more about her cooking program, follow her. Now, honestly, how many people are more interested in that than the first one? Do you know what she does? Do you know what outcomes you can expect? Do you say, wow, she's going to teach me how to cook and I could just do it right there. I want to know more. Can you do it at dinner time? Like, what kind of stuff am I going to cook? What are the recipes? So that's a bio. No boring. You want to have the credibility and relatability and the fun, poppy words that step out and say simple, enjoyable, sustainable, all of those kind of fun ways to say it. So start with the bare bones, and then you can go in and play with it and make it super fun and happy. I'm going to share with you a couple of mine. Let me go into Connie's bios.
Connie,
I'm so sorry. Yes.
On that one, the one thing that I guess what in my thought, even on that second one, I wanted to know more about how she, like, I have this sense that she loves cooking and wants to transfer that to the people she's teaching. But I didn't invoke an emotion. I don't know if that's if that's too personal. You know what I mean? Like if I say she teaches, she transfers her love of cooking to the people she helps or whatever. Is that too personal or?
No. That's your personality coming in. And again, watch your audience. Now, if you're talking to a bunch of highbrow people in your doctorate program, then no, yeah. Anytime you use the word love, they're not going to like it. But you look at Dainty Pear and Sarah's like, she loves to gather people and say, come as you are, break bread at our table, right? That's her signature tagline. So that's a great thing to have in the bio. She teaches people how to gather, elevate their eating experience, blah, 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 blah.
Gotcha.
So you want to give the feel. It can be like almost like a narrative. So you want to have a professional one, and then you have what I call a personality one. So let me share the screen and show kind of what I'm talking about. So you guys are awesome. I'm jamming because I have a 1 o'clock meeting. So I am jamming. I just told them I'm going to be 1:05. This is why, you guys, I'm always 5 minutes late to everything. So thanks for your patience. Okay, so here's my short bio that I generally show to people. So you can see in that first sentence, why do you want all the good credibility stuff in the first sentence? Because in programs, they'll often cut it off. So you want to have all the most important things in that first sentence in case there's no room at the end. Connie Sokol is a national speaker, best-selling author, media personality, and mother of 7. She's a regular contributor on the top-rated lifestyle show, Studio 5 with Brooke Walker. I like putting that in because then they know, wow, it's a word, it's like high caliber, it's blah, blah, blah. She also hosts 2 podcasts, and I share about those so that they can see that I have this actual media experience. She's a best-selling author who's written 18 books, and I do a couple of titles that are personal to them. Now, if I was speaking to a fiction audience, I would do my fiction one, so you cater it to them. She's the founder of Purpose-Filled Life and teaching women to live purposeful, organized, joyful lives. She hosts Disciple Thought Leadership Treats, blah, 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 how to be influential writers, speakers, and media personalities. We need to clean this one up, Lemire. I'm so sorry. I just realized we don't have the most current. So usually I just say she trains certain women to find their purpose and fulfill it as blah, 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 blah. Sorry. Then Miss Sokol is an active member and okay, just I had to do that. What about Bob moment? Just me and my book. Okay, National Speakers Association Board and the BYU Management Society Board. And then marinates some time spent with her family and eating decadent treats. And then where to go. So the last thing that we talked about was where are you going to lead them? If you can think backwards, if you want to lead them to an opt-in or you want to lead them to a discovery call or whatever it is you want to lead them to, reverse engineer your bio. The women who have done these retreats, I teach them how to fulfill as a speaker, writer, media presence for him. She has taught 10 retreats and helped women to be able to get on stage, publish their books, and blah, 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 blah. So that by the time you get to the for more information, people want that information because now you've shared what's the outcomes that you've done for this particular thing that you're doing. This, if Susie would have said, she has 90% of her clients actually lose 10 pounds in the first month of this cooking. How many people do you think want to know about her cooking, right? But if she would put something like that and know what it says for more information on how to start her cooking classes, then people are going to go, oh, I definitely want to figure that out because she's given them outcomes. So now people, where do you want to lead them? For her program, more information on her program, reach out to blah, 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 blah. Does that make sense? So think where you want to lead them. Is it to your website? Is it to your opt-in? Where are you leading them? And then reverse engineer that bio so you tease that so that people are going to want that by the end. Okay, so here's a little more of the personality bio. This is on my website. Hi, I'm Connie Sokol, and I'm a speaker, best-selling author, media personality, and program founder, not all at once and not without chocolate. At the core, most days, I'm keeping it real, mother of 7, the good, the bad, the ugly. So can you see that's on my website? That's where there should be a little more personality. When someone's getting to know me and starting to read my bio, if I'm super stuffy and just all about professional, there's no connection. Just like Kim was saying, there's no connection. But if I use these fun words and I have a little sense of humor, I give this concept like, this is going to be fun, you guys. We're going to hang. I'm just like you. I've learned some things. I'm going to share them with you. So something to consider. And then there's the really boring long bio. We do not want to do that. I love God, spending time with my kids, not after 9. Oh, and you know what, Lemire, if you can put in there, I'm going to put it right here, not after 9 p.m. Because I didn't realize that some people thought not after 9 kids. I'm like, I'm done. Okay, people, 7's plenty. I'm learning and creating fabulous life hacks and indulging in decadent treats. So again, I'm giving them that snapshot of me. And I'm sorry, you've been in like Connie Sokol purgatory here where you have to keep hearing about how magical I am. Anyway, those are just some ideas and thoughts on a bio. And I know I've raced through it, but we actually have a module that you can go and watch and slow it down, even to be able to watch on bios. And we have page 67 in your guidebook that can also give other tips and tools. And we also show you one from Clint Pulver about how to do a good bio. And he has a great mix that's energetic, it's professional, but it's got personality. So I invite you to read his and just get the idea of how he went about that and made it so that it's sort of a mix. You'll find that for speaking, I find that a lot, that the speaking bios are more a mix of the professional credibility, but it's got that personality and that energy, almost like when they're announcing them from stage. And Marcus has blah, blah, blah. He's entertaining kids all over the world, and he has blah, 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 blah. You
I
kind of have
missed his
that
name.
The what?
I missed his name.
Clint Pulver. And it's in your guidebook on page
Okay.
67 or 66, because there's an example of it right there. So think
Hey,
about
Connie.
if someone's introducing
It's-
you from stage, how would it sound? Would it be flat? Would it have a little energy? Would it have some pop to it? Would it make you feel credible? Would it make them feel like, wow, if you can get the jaw drop factor, not all of us can, we're all still working on that, but if you can get the jaw drop factor, that's great. Would they go, wow, like they want to listen to you? That's perfect. Somebody had a question.
I did. I wondered if there's some kind of map, like obviously LinkedIn, you would use a more professional one. On my website, a mix, like the speaking one, personality and kind of professional. Okay. And then obviously Instagram, Facebook. I realized I have a lot of things all over the place. Yelp for business, my Google business. I'm like, oh my gosh, these all say something different. So,
Yes.
so I have to go clean it up, but
That's so great. And if you just start with a core bio, and then it's just like a dress up doll, and then you add this and take away that and say, I'm going to put this on. And oh, she's going to go out tonight. Anybody do paper dolls? So you're going to put a different outfit on her. So it's still same core bio, still credibility, but you're going to add and dress it up just a little bit differently. But again, have those elements, that credibility, relatability, trust, and then add in humor if you can, and that personality that just kind of packages it like, this is me. No big deal. I know, right? You can do it in 15 minutes, easy. But play with it. I plead with you to have some play with this. You're going to change it and change it again. I think back to bios that I had like 5-10 years ago, and I'm like, ugh. But it's great. It's just a work in progress, and just so that it's something that when you read it, people have some kind of connection or reaction. Either they're like, oh, I like her. Have people read it in the DTL, and even maybe a few people first, and so you can get brave, or with each other here, and then put it out on the WhatsApp. But people should feel something. They should feel joy. They should say, I can't wait to hear what she has to say, or I know exactly what you're saying, or she's funny, or she's great, she's authentic. Think about your brand and how you want to keep that aligned. People know that I'm a little bit humorous. I'm going to be down to earth. I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to share some things and some skill sets and professional so that they can trust what I'm saying, but I'm not going to be stuffy. I'm not going to wear a shirt and a pinstripe suit. I'm going to be more like, let's do this. Let's get in there and make it happen. So think about your brand, your tone, your feel of what you're offering, and then you can make that bio structured like that too. So you keep the core pieces, but then you have that personality that overlays or weaves through. Lamira, anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think that's great. And we can ask those things too, as Kim asked different places, and you'll learn voices. I'll tell you the number one way I figured this out was going to look at different people's on their different places. So like on LinkedIn, when we're putting Connie's up, it's like, okay, well, how does that sound? How does somebody have their sound? Does that make sense? And so, and then like she said, be okay with making changes. Like it's really okay, because you'll be like, oh, I like the way they did that. I'm going to add that into mine, and just know that that's okay. And so just start
And play with it and get the core. Just get the core, because at the end of the day, you don't want it too campy, meaning too trying to be funny or whatever. You want people to know the basics. Like you want them to know what you've done. And if you got anything you can throw in there, for years, I put in Deseret News and LDS Living Magazine that I wrote for and whatever. And as I went along and added more to my tool belt, I could let go of some of those things that didn't necessarily match with what I was doing at the time. But get that credibility, relatability, trust, humor, personality, and you'll be set.